We are back with episode 20. Here, how many is that?
That's that many.
That's that many.
Yeah.
Episode 20 of the Metal Roundtable, and we've got a nice, cool topic for you. But before, I want to... Oh,
Who are you?
Hang on, I've really screwed this up. Okay,
are you Gene Hoglan?
Okay,
no, I am.
Here we go. We'll do the part they never see. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Hey, we're back with another episode of the Metal Roundtable. I am Metal Rob, and this is...
Carcass John.
And we are coming to you today from the home of the great Carcass John, also known as Casa de Carcass.
Casa de Carcass. And this is the record realm. We have the CD realm downstairs, and then we have the drum room realm also.
Yes.
But anyway, we'll have to have an episode from every room.
There is stuff everywhere. You can't even know. I mean, there's an autographed Accept picture right there. There's an autographed Metal Church record, an autographed Rod's record, Lee Aaron's signed. I mean, everywhere you look.
Anthrax,
Ted Nugent. Man, it's the Marching Bears here.
Yes.
The battle jacket in the background.
You got it.
Man, this dude's got some great stuff. My little room is cool. But man, this is a museum.
But here's the deal. It's like I told someone the other day. If you do something for 40 plus years and it involves taking a trinket every now and then, you're going to have a lot of stuff.
This is what happens.
Even if you did one a year, you'd have 40 things.
Okay, I want you to focus on this for a second. Do you see the cassette wall? That's just what's displayed.
That's the rock and roll stuff. The metal's downstairs. The pop stuff is indoors. And
look at that. Look at all these tapes. This is insane. And you can't even know the records and CDs, Kiss memorabilia. Man, this is an awesome place, dude. I always love being over here. So,
well, welcome.
Thank you again. Yeah, this is our first episode from here, is it not? Yeah. Finally got over here instead of at my place.
Metal.
Yes, we have eaten turkey. We've had some Thanksgiving leftovers. Of course, this will be 3 weeks down the road by the time you see this. We survived Record Store Day. Black Friday was yesterday. Did you pick up anything?
No. I ventured down to my local half-price books and caught up on a couple of things, but you get 20% off of your order, and I just couldn't get out and get into the carnage. I'm in a peaceful place right now, so I sat down at the drawing table and got psychedelic for a while. So
cool. This is the first time in several years that I did not go out at least to 1 or 2 stores for Record Store Day. Just too much going on, but I was able to get my friends, shout out to Robin Taylor and Danny Akers.
Oh, yeah.
They picked up my Alice Cooper Live from the AstroTurf full lengths.
Oh, wow.
That came out yesterday. And
cool.
I got 5 little leftover turkey coming back on me there. This is not it. I'm going to live.
I have plenty of koozies, but the bottles aren't full. Sorry.
Yeah, no. So I picked up 3 of the Good Records editions, which has trading cards in it. Man, it's got a Dennis Dunaway bass pick. It's got autographed pictures. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff in there. And in a future episode, I want us to go to Good Records and talk to Chris Penn about just how the whole thing came together.
Cool.
You know, one morning he woke up and said, I'm going to figure this out, and I'm going to do this release, and all these things that had to come together. I want to bend his ear about that. That'll be fun.
Yep. That was a huge... I mean, anytime Alice Cooper's band plays in your record store, I think that's probably an adventure in itself.
Yeah, and we will go into excruciating detail when we get him on board. I know that he would be down for doing that, so we'll have to travel over there and talk to him one day. But got any shout-outs?
Other than we thought we were having the most awesome musical experience of our weekend this morning, and it sort of kind of fell on deaf ears because we inherited a stereo system that is so high end, but yet
we can't make it work.
No sound comes out of it. So we're a little disappointed. But shout out anyway to Brett, the lawyer of the rock and roll lawyer. and we'll figure it out. Make it work somehow.
We'll make it work. We're just not smart enough. I'm sure that's the problem.
And if nothing else, Kruger the heavy metal cat will figure it out. She's picked Diamond Head as our next selection.
Ah, yes.
On the anyway.
Well, kids, we have saved for episode 20 a topic that is near and dear to all our hearts, and I hope that you'll just take a moment and just think back to the first time that you came to know the greatness of
Judas Priest.
Judas Priest, the metal gods. My my introduction to, well, let's hear yours first, because you probably go back farther. I didn't get into them until the early 80s.
Well, that's no. I guess I was into them in the late 70s. I had a little bit of a jump on you, but I remember thinking, which one of these guys is named Judas Priest? I kept thinking that. I think I mentioned that in an episode before, and I kept thinking, who's Judas Priest? Who's Judas? I wanted to know who it was. I didn't realize it was the name of the band. And I always thought Rob Halford was Judas Priest, but we all know that he's he may be a Judas, but he's not Judas Priest, but he's Rob Halford, and he's greatness.
He's the
but I remember seeing them at the Salt Palace for the first time in probably 81 or 2, maybe 3. I don't know. It all starts to become blurry after a certain point, but I just remember that they were so powerful.
There's an autographed British Steel record right there.
And there's we can point.
Tangled up.
Anyway.
Go ahead, sorry.
But I just remember them being more powerful than the records. I think I had been listening to, I think Point of Entry had just been released. And but British Steel was a powerhouse. You could feel them starting to move in a new direction. But Sin After Sin, Stained Class, all those early records are just intricate, great hard rock records.
Mm-hmm.
And but British Steel came along, and all of a sudden they were taking on a new, the black leather and studs and spikes, and we didn't realize that was covering up something else, but that became what heavy metal
Came the look
of heavy metal. So that was probably the first, and I think I remember paying $8 to get in, and I sat 15th row, and it was a killer show. It was sold out, believe it or not, Salt Lake in the early 80s, which I know doesn't sound like that would happen, but it did.
Yeah.
And that just it lends to their widespread popularity.
I remember hearing Breaking the Law. I remember hearing Living After Midnight. But the first full-length album that I remember getting was Screaming for Vengeance.
Oh, well.
So I was 13.
Good place to start.
I remember borrowing Screaming for Vengeance. And honestly, it took me a little bit to get into the older stuff because Screaming for Vengeance was such a seminal heavy metal album. It was just heavier and faster, So when I went backwards into some of those older records, it took a little while for those to soak in for me because that's what I wanted, that Screaming for Vengeance, Judas Priest, So my wheelhouse for Priest is Screaming for Vengeance and Defenders of the Faith. I don't think I saw them live until the Painkiller tour, and I've seen them several times.
That's a good place to start, by the way, if you want heavy.
Yeah, I've seen them several times since then, but my favorites are Screaming for Vengeance, Defenders of the Faith, Painkiller, and I'm going to tell you what went right into my top 5 Judas Priest albums is the latest one, Firepower. It's just stinking amazing.
And every song, there's no filler. I like Redeemer of Souls, I really liked, and Angel of Retribution.
Mm-hmm.
But there seems like there's some filler in there, here and there. But the Firepower is wide open from starting gate to the final tape. It's really freaking awesome.
Man, Firepower is such a classic, instant classic Priest record in my opinion. And of course, gosh, start from the front. You get Rockarola, classic, overlooked, I think.
And doesn't even sound like the same band, much
really,
much like the Scorpions' Lonesome Crow.
Exactly.
The Crocus first album, it sounds more like a psychedelic rock record.
And they had plenty of darkness and plenty of heaviness, but when the look changed and when the sound really started to change, in my opinion, was in 80 with British Steel. that was kind of the, okay, this is it. We are a heavy metal band. We are a leather and studs wearing heavy effing metal band. And that's kind of where they went. And to me, that was the line in the sand for, we are going to help define what heavy metal is for the 80s. And I think they did.
And whether that was conscientiously or subconsciously, that's what happened.
Right.
They were kind of at the forefront of music. I mean, that was back in the day, not unlike today, where you have access to 500,000 bands.
Yeah.
With a touch of a click of a mouse. Back then, there were very few bands. There were dozens of bands, not hundreds of thousands of bands. And Priest certainly was at the forefront of that. Priest and Maiden were probably side by side, but Priest was just slightly ahead as far as releases and being in the business. And so, to me, and I know that Rick Perry, the governor, could vouch for me on this, that Priest was kind of that they were the tip of the spear of heavy metal.
I agree, because there were heavy bands, and you can say that Black Sabbath was a heavy metal band. Of course they were. They were the inventors, the originators. But it was Black Sabbath. They did their music. They didn't sound like anybody. Judas Priest, in my opinion, and for my young ears, defined heavy metal, because Black Sabbath still had enough of a
blues, almost.
And they were singing, love songs and stuff like that, which was cool. It was very heavy, very dark, but to me, it still had that element of sounding classic rock ish. I don't know how to really articulate what I'm trying to say, but to me, Black Sabbath, obviously the grandfathers of heavy metal, whatever you want to call them. Tony Iommi invented it. But man, Judas Priest absolutely pinpointed what metal should look like and what metal should sound like. And everybody was following Priest and Maiden after, they had all followed, Sabbath and those guys. But man, back to the new album, you can get into the whole thing of is it Judas Priest? KK's gone and this and that. And here's the thing. We can argue both sides of that, and we've talked about that in past episodes. It says Judas Priest. Rob Halford is singing. But let's not forget, the only original member of the band is Ian Hill. Rob is not the original singer. Scott is not the original drummer. But what defines Judas Priest is not just the name and not just the front man, although that really is a big part of it, but it's the sound. And I'm telling you straight up, kids, the new Judas Priest Firepower album is a classic Judas Priest album. I don't care who wrote it. I don't care who played on it. I'm telling you, when your speakers ooze with joy from the metal coming out of them, it is a freaking Priest record of the highest order, and I stand it up against Sad Wings of Destiny. I stand it up against Screaming for Vengeance. Track for track for track, there's not a bad song in the bunch.
Well, I can't disagree, because it's. I was shocked when I heard it, and I've seen Priest in all its forms, and even before Scott Travis joined, and to me, it's still Judas Priest. I know Saxon went through some changes in a similar fashion, but they're still Saxon. The Scorpions, they've been through a million changes.
But
and just because Mickey D is playing drums and not Herman the German, they're still the Scorpions. And so, and Kiss is still Kiss, because they're selling that image and that style of music.
The product, if you will. I mean,
right. And I'm telling you, the Priest Firepower is. I'm not going to disagree. It's a classic record. It's classic heavy metal. It's a classic Judas Priest record that will stand the test of time and will stand up against all their other records, in my opinion.
Tell the story. This is going to be a little bit of a left turn, but still on the Priest topic. Tell the story about meeting Rob Halford that time.
Oh, well, so...
Because
Mike Spears, shout out to him. A great guy. Basically a guy that doesn't have to work. He's retired military, but just loves to work. And somehow he fell into this, into the logistics side of music, where He's running sound. He's running flash pots. He's running whatever, and he's tight with the Rob Zombies of the world and John 5 and Judas Priest is like his big customer and
Pyro guy, right?
Pyro guy,
Okay.
right? And so anyway, he when they were here at the Allen Center here in Allen, Texas, great venue, a small room. You know, what was it, 10, 11,000 maybe?
Oh gosh, I think it holds 4 or 5, 6.
Oh,
maybe.
even okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, it feels like a huge arena, but it's just maybe doesn't have the levels that
Yeah.
a huge arena does.
It's a nice hockey arena.
But the long and the short of it is, when he was here with a band called Rattlehead out of Hollywood, they were filming a pilot for a cable reality show about being on the road in a band and trying to make it and whatever. And he was part of the moving the boxes and the camera and the logistics. Anyway, he walked down the hall, saw my Priest posters, called his friend Rob and said, "Hey, look what I'm seeing," and it was a poster that he evidently didn't have. So long and the short of it is, Mike and I have become friends. He's even sent me a one-of-a-kind print that we could show at a later time that's autographed not only by Rob Halford, but the artist himself that
the
did the
Halford
print.
over there?
The Halford
yeah,
print.
That's pretty cool.
And so anyway, we got into the building and he said, after the first song, I'll come get you. So we spent the rest of the set in the photography pit watching Priest, and we were this close to Richie and knowing that he was pulling off the KK thing. So it was an interesting position to see the new guy pulling off these KK riffs.
And he's great.
And
He's
he
a
did
great
it flawlessly. Player. I'm sorry. I love KK Downing, but
I do too.
But man, he
Richie's great. He's
no step back.
No.
I can assure you.
No. Well, and if you want that product, this goes back to the product. I'll get back on the story. He delivers the Judas Priest product.
He delivers
I'm
the
sorry,
goods.
go ahead.
He's delivering the goods
He
still.
is delivering the goods.
And yeah.
Good job.
So anyway, the long and the short of it was, as after the show was over, he said, "Stay here. I have a surprise for you." And so we stuck around for a while. And of course, there's a lot of hangers-on hoping to catch a glimpse of the band. And out walks Rob in his flowing robe and his little entourage.
Like a boxing robe.
Like a boxing robe or something. And he reaches over through the crowd and he hands me a pick. And I said, "Wow, a Rob Halford pick. What's the story behind it?" And Mike said, and he thanked us for coming, which I thought was pretty cool. And Mike said, well, he does 100 of those a tour, and he only gives them out for special occasions, birthdays, commemorative type things.
Right.
And so
and you got one.
I have a Rob Halford Metal God pick handed to me by...
we need to go 4 horns on this. 4 horns.
But anyway, it was amazing because all the people that were standing around, giving me that same reaction as, who is this guy that Halford puts a pick in his hand? And then it became like an auction. I'll give you $300 for the pick. How about $350? How about $400? I said, no, you can't buy that type of experience. So
no, and the memory. Absolutely
not.
Yeah, and you'll have it for the rest of your life.
So,
and then when you're dead, I'll have it.
So shout out to what? Yeah, sure. Go ahead. If I'm dead, just come get everything. But shout out to Mike Spears, San Diego, California. Great guy. And like I said, he's helped get us into certain shows, and he works hard at what he does. Anybody that thinks that being a roadie, and we can maybe have roadie talk for one episode. Man, that is a hard job, and it is a thankless job because you're not the guy out there with the mic in your hand or the guitar in your hand. You're the guy behind the scenes, and you're really doing the work,
doing the heavy lifting. Yeah.
But great guy, and shout out to all the roadies out there. More power to you.
Yeah. Well, we didn't go through all the albums really, and we're not going to take the time to go through every album. But I talked about my 3 or 4 that I really, really love and I really, really gravitate toward. What are your favorites?
Well, I mean, I love them all for different reasons. I know this is going to rub some people the wrong way, including Rob McNeese, our buddy down in Houston. But there's some elements of Turbo that I actually kind of dig.
Absolutely, Reckless is on there.
I don't really like the album as a whole. I don't like the artificial feel of the drum machine and so forth. But that's probably their stinker. But should we go load and reload and talk about Metallica or Risk and talk about Megadeth? No, let's not do that.
Right.
Probably my favorite. Believe it or not, it's a toss-up between Defenders of the Faith, Painkiller, and Ram It Down.
Okay.
Short of the last couple songs on Ram It Down, that thing is punishing.
Wow, so both of us are in the 80s stuff.
Yeah,
Later.
and I do love the second record. Rock-a-Rolla is kind of a fun record to me, but British Steel, but I love Firepower too, so I'm having a hard time finding a space. And I will tell you this right now, Jugulator is the heaviest Judas Priest record ever made, and Ripper Owens did not step back off the heavy metal bandwagon.
No, yes, that's a great direction to take this in. And then I want to we'll come to Ripper in a second. Where did you fall on Nostradamus?
I didn't really like it. There's some good songs on it. I think it could have been one album.
I agree with that.
Kind of like the new Metallica. It didn't need to be 2 records or 3 or actually, thank goodness for the third disc of the Metallica, because then that actually had some good songs on it. But I digress. It really they should have compressed it into one record. And
I agree with that.
And I think and Rick Perry, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong. I think Ram It Down and Defenders
Turbo
were supposed to be the same record.
I think it's Turbo and Ram
Maybe
It Down
so.
were supposed to be a 2 LP.
They couldn't have split that thing into heavy and what is this?
I could be missing.
It was supposed to be a double album. Rick, if you're out there, please correct us.
I think it's Turbo and Ram It Down. I'm pretty sure.
Anyway, it was in that era of because they didn't have a drummer on Ram It Down. That's all drum machine. So anyway, but the songs are just ripping.
Well, Nostradamus, talking about that, I agree with what you said about they could have boiled it down to one album. I like what they did, if that makes sense. I like that they made this big, epic thing. I like that it was a big story. But for me, it just, I don't know really can't put my finger on why it fell flat, because there are some great songs on there, in my opinion. And I think there's an album's worth of great songs. But when I think of a concept album, and this is a whole different thing, we can't chase this rabbit, but Operation Mindcrime, there's a front-to-back, amazing, perfect concept album. I just didn't catch it with Judas Priest on Nostradamus. I think it could have been simpler. Having said that, I saw them on that tour. They played a couple songs off of it. I enjoyed them. That's the tour that I met the band. Just did the cattle call thing where you go through and you get your minute or two with them. And I had them sign that box set. So I'm very proud to have it. And I listened to the CD a lot. But
well,
yeah,
if you're a completist, then yeah, Nostradamus. It's kind of like Music from the Elder by Kiss, or
it's better than that,
or anything like to me that Nostradamus sort of became Iced Earthish, where it got so epic it was like borderline ridiculous. It's like, okay, I get epic, okay, I get the magnitude of what you're trying to do, but can we we don't need a 45-minute song.
Right.
We don't need that kind of epic. We need to trim it down, rock. We all know that you guys can play, we can do whatever, but for the same reason I think that the Iced Earth, I just sort of fell off the map with them after Something Wicked This Way Comes. It just, they were doing epic for the sake of being epic, and I think that's what Nostradamus fails at, is that they were trying to do an epic concept and follow us through this musical journey. Oh, come on, please.
It's a blues jazz.
Ram
odyssey.
It Down. Give me some.
It's a jazz, jazz blues odyssey.
Yeah, give me some ripping, shredding double bass, searing vocals and shredding guitar. That's what we want.
Yeah, I think.
Give me firepower, for crying out loud.
Yes, and they did. Thank goodness. I think I think you're right. I think the reason that it's panned is not because it's a bad album. It's just not a great Judas Priest album. Having said all of that about Nostradamus, if they said, we're going on an arena tour and we're going to play the thing front to back and there's going to be this epic stage show, I would go check it out. I would have to go see what they did.
I would go check it out if they had an intermission and then included some other songs.
Yeah.
Because I would feel left out if if I paid my money to see Nostradamus, hated it halfway through the set, and then wasn't going to get any dessert at the end of the meal.
Right. I got you.
But that's just me personally.
Sure.
Some people love it, and I know people that swear by it.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
you know,
well, let's switch over into Ripper talk, because I think that's a fantastic point that you made. So when they got Ripper, I don't remember. That was in a little bit of my dark period. I wasn't keeping up with a lot of stuff. I was really stuck where I was and wasn't keeping up with some of the newer stuff throughout the 90s and 2000s. I wasn't as deep on some of my bands as I should have been. Well, when they got Ripper, and gosh, I won't edit that out.
And he choked on his turkey scrappings.
Yeah. When I heard the guy sing, it was the same. It was the same point we were saying a minute ago about Richie delivering the KK goods. Well, guess what? He delivered the Halford goods. He's not Rob Halford. He doesn't sound exactly like Rob Halford. But man, that dude stepped in, and is that one of the best replacement singers in metal history?
Could be. I mean, some will argue the guy from TT Quick taking over for Udo and
Mark. Yeah,
that's a pretty good.
that's a great. Yeah.
Or the guy in Queensryche. I mean, he's pretty cool.
Oh man, yeah.
Journey. I mean, there's been some good ones, but for metal, I think it's different because there's a whole different energy level. And you know, Jugulator, like I said, one of the heaviest Judas Priest record, and the one that followed up with that, Demolition, is a crap record, and it's not Ripper's fault that it's garbage. He didn't write it, but short of One on One, the rest of the album just stinks. It's terrible.
I wasn't really even hit or miss on those albums. I mostly missed. I wasn't into it. There were a couple of tracks on each one that I was cool with. But the best thing that came out of the Ripper era, in my opinion, is the Live 98 Meltdown.
Man, that ain't no lie. That thing is a shredding live album. And we've talked about live albums before, and the one that we both agree on is that one.
Well, they were heavier with him. He brought an element of heaviness, and maybe the band was headed that way anyway. I don't really know, but man, it was heavy. And the songs, the classic Priest that they played live with Ripper, it was heavy. They kind of matched that Jugulator vibe.
Well, and if you really want to check out where Ripper got his start, check out the Winter's Bane. They're out of Ohio. Winter's Bane. They are. You'll hear Priest all day long in that band, but hearing Ripper singing just loose and natural with his own band, we'll show you the reason why he got tabbed to be the new singer for Judas Priest.
I've never heard it. I'll have to check it out.
It's phenomenal.
And he's now, we're kind of going off the Judas Priest page here, but hey, we can do what we want. It's our show, right?
Don't try this at home like us. Cause
don't do this without a net, kids.
We're professionals.
Coughing professionals. See, on radio, they have a dump button. We don't have that.
We don't have that here.
I completely forgot what I was going to say. But
you were going off the reservation for Judas Priest, but
at least we're rolling. ...
Whatever. I don't know.
I'm sure it was extremely important.
Winter's Bane. Out of
the Three Tremors now. He's doing the Three Tremors with Sean Peck and
Harry Conklin.
Yeah.
Jag Panzer.
Yeah.
Is that any good? Hello.
And let me tell you about this. The Three Tremors features some buddies of ours that we saw filling in for Hellstar.
Right. Sean Elg, the drummer, and Casey Trask, an amazing, shredding, ripping, face-melting guitar player from San Diego.
He is the best young guitar player I think I have seen. And one of the best metal guitar players I've seen live ever. Little dude, and he just shreds that flying V, man, and he kills it, man.
That's reminiscent of... KK, Richie, someone from Judas Priest, anyway.
And he brings a stage presence and a vibe. They were really nice guys. It was really fun to meet them and hang out with them and pick up the Nihilist records. And we picked up a few things from
But playing with Hellstar, that is no joke either. I mean, just to sit down and just do your thing, for in a matter of weeks. Yeah. just to come fill in. They were truly
They
amazing.
were great. Well, the Three Tremors record is coming out in January on the 19th, I believe. And man, they've got a $60 package that you are not going to believe. Dude, there is so much stuff packed into I don't know if you've seen it yet.
No, haven't seen
I
it.
went out and bought it day one. I was talking to Sean on Facebook a little bit. We were just messaging back and forth. I don't know Sean, but we got connected on something and we're talking. And he said, "Hey, the record comes out. You should check it out." And so I went over and started looking at the Facebook page and the website and whatnot. Holy cow! The bang for your buck for $60 on this top tier package that they have of the record coming out. You need to check it out. I wish I could remember all the stuff that was in it.
Is it gonna be
chock full of goodies.
Is it gonna beat the Municipal Waste lunchbox?
Okay, I'll say this. There's a lot more stuff in it.
Okay.
But that lunchbox is freaking cool.
That's
man.
pretty cool.
All right, kids. Well, it does not matter what we think. It does matter what you think. Nobody cares what we think. It's our show. We just keep doing it because, we can just do it. Our budget is ginormous and we just keep on going.
Huge budget.
We want to know what you think. You tell us what you think of Nostradamus. Tell us in the comments what you think about Ripper Owens filling in. We want to hear what you have to say. What did you pick up on Record Store Day? We'd love to hear from you. As always, check us out on Facebook. Check us out on YouTube. Please do us a favor and like us and share us and all those good social media things that you're supposed to do. I don't know.
Should we tell them about the...
Use hashtags or whatever you do.
Should we tell them about the we're thinking about doing a shirt? And
Yes.
would anybody be interested in a metal round table shirt?
Yeah.
Because
might do a little short run of shirts for you kiddies. So let us know.
Let us know.
He's got a pretty cool design. It's pretty sweet. It's pretty sweet.
All right.
All right, kids. Until next time, man. Thank you for tuning in for 20 episodes. Thanks for listening to us.
Oh, yeah, the big 20.
Couple of old metal windbags, but this is episode 20, and we wanted to celebrate with a big band and a big topic, and we sincerely appreciate you guys. Anything else?
Nope. Other than...
Until next time,
Metal will prevail.